Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. I'm Derek DeBurger. This is Sam Roth.
Hi there.
Today we talked about Mack Brown trashing on the NCAA, DJ Uiagalelei's dad trashing on Dabo Sweeney, Caleb Williams' dad trashing on the NFL's worst team, and then, of course, the trash human that is Mel Tucker. All right. And, of course, we wrapped up a week. We did a recap of week 2. So,
Absolutely. So, Alabama versus Texas, Colorado versus Nebraska.
Yeah, and he's very excited about
Absolutely.
Alabama, Texas. All right.
We'll see you in this episode.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yep. Like and subscribe.
Welcome back, everybody, for week 2 of college football.
Welcome.
Well, the biggest story, Sam, I'm Derek Burke, that's Sam Roth. Biggest story was Texas.
By far.
By far. And credit where credit is due. You've been on Texas bandwagon before the season started.
Absolutely.
You called this game before the season.
I did. I'm very happy about this one.
Yeah.
I'm extremely happy about this one. Yeah, I just really like Texas. I felt they had a deep quarterback room. I was really high on Anthony Hill, the true freshman coming in, who had 2 sacks on the day against Alabama. I was really happy about to see him perform well. Yeah, just overall good.
You are amped right now.
Oh, I am buzzing. When we did these pick'ems, I was like, I'm sticking with Texas. I believed in them, and they came through today. I mean, not today, but they came through Saturday night for me. Absolutely, yeah. They, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's the first time Alabama has lost at home to a non-conference opponent since 2007. And that was UL Monroe is who beat Alabama back then in 2007. Also,
Pre-Saban.
Yeah. And also the first time ever that Saban has lost double digits at home ever. You have to go all the way back to his LSU's days to the last time this happened. So not only did they win, but they won in, I wouldn't say domination fashion, but they won in really good fashion.
They did. It was definitely a reassuring victory.
I mean, yeah, they didn't let Alabama score for the last 11 minutes of the game. I don't know what more to say. I mean, Xavier Worthy, wide receiver, Adonai Mitch. I don't know how to say his name. Adonai Mitchell. Both of them were stellar.
Is it listed in here anywhere?
Yes,
no?
Absolutely.
All right, hold up.
They both performed really well.
Adonai.
Yeah, Adonai Mitchell. He performed really well. Both those wide receivers were star-studded. What I also want to talk about though is that I really do believe that Bryce Young carried this team last year. Him and Will Anderson basically carried this team, and I don't think they are what we thought they were coming into the preseason. I mean, I was very high on Alabama. I had them 3rd overall in my preseason rankings.
I was very high. I had them number 1.
I just have a lot of questions after watching that game.
Yeah, I mean, I have more questions about Alabama's first game than their game against Texas. Because, I mean, if Texas is good, then it's like, okay, they lost to a good team. And they lost to a good team by only 10, you know?
Right.
Sure, it's 2 possessions, but it's not like they lost by 17 or, 22. They only lost by 10.
Right.
And their first game they played against Chattanooga. And
Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was Chattanooga.
It's all blue.
That is my fault. Anyway.
I had some questions about that game, too, watching it.
Yeah, they didn't... I mean, it's one of those games where it's like the box score ended up being like 44-0.
Yeah, it was like 56-0.
But if you look at the flow of the game, it was like they weren't really like
they stumbled
dominating.
They stumbled out of the blocks in that game. It showed like they scored like 28-0 by half, but they had 2 late scores in the second half, and it just didn't seem like they were that team. And I was like, gosh, is Jalen Milroe the guy? Don't get me wrong, Jalen Milroe kept him in the game for some good, decent parts of the game. I mean, he has the ability to put his foot in the ground, make a guy miss, and all those other things. I do have some questions about his passing ability, but as a runner, he looks very talented. I mean, I just don't think it's going to be Alabama's year, obviously. And there's also another question to be asked of like, everyone's asking, is the Saban era over? Is the Alabama dynasty coming to an end, and we're seeing the beginning of other dominant programs like Georgia, for example, coming to the forefront now? Is this officially the beginning of the end?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, it might be. I don't know. I don't want to make that claim just. I mean, the thing is, like, if it is, it's already happened. It's already started. But the thing is, it could just be like a hiccup.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to go out on a limb and make that claim just yet. But if it is, it's kind of apparent. Kirby Smart's kind of past him.
Yeah.
He definitely is like struggling a little bit with NIL, as far as like
a little bit, yeah.
Not fully. Alabama's got solid NIL. They're just not as prolific in that area as other schools, and it's clearly affecting Alabama.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have as much of a vice grip on recruiting as he once did, to where like, 6 guys went to the NFL. It's like, cool. We're going to replace them with 6 5-stars. Like,
right.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore.
They still are getting good talent.
Oh, they are.
Recruiting.
They're just there's just a difference between being the cream of the crop for years and like really good.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know. It's one game. They lost to Texas.
True. And I think Texas is a good team.
Yes. But I don't want to overact to a loss to Texas.
Right. As far as other games go, another big topic that we have to talk about, and I was vastly wrong on this pick, is Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado against Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska really knows how to shoot themselves in the foot in games. They have don't get me wrong, Colorado, rightfully so, won the game, did great, ended up with, I think it was like 36-14, I want to say was the final score.
I know they had 36.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there. Surprise for Colorado was it wasn't Travis Hunter who was the stellar wide receiver in that game. It was Xavier Weaver. He had 10 catches for 170 yards. He was on fire. Just goes to show that they do have talent in other skill positions. Colorado does. What I was also shocked by is that they won by that vast amount while still allowing 8 sacks on the game. They gave up 8 sacks and still beat the crap out of Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska, I feel like that win says more about Nebraska than it does about Colorado. Nebraska looks like they have a pretty solid defense. Even though they gave up 36 points, they look like they've got a solid defense.
Well, it also doesn't help that they have had 8 turnovers in their first 2 games.
Yeah.
They can't hold on to the ball. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the main issues with their quarterback, Jeff Sims. He's a transfer from Georgia Tech, and that was one of the main key concerns that they had when he transferred in, is that he wasn't able to hold on to the ball at Georgia Tech. And it seems like that pattern has continued at Nebraska between the Minnesota game and now the Colorado game.
Yeah. I mean, that's a problem Nebraska's had since Scott Frost.
Right.
They just look like the same old Nebraska team.
And
it's crazy.
And you're also right about it when you said that anywhere Matt Rules go, it takes him a year to get that program in shape.
Yeah, he's only ever gone to schools that are in just complete disarray by the time he gets there as a head coach. And so it takes a little while for Matt Rule to instill his culture, get his guys, his recruits in, and then they start to win, and then they start to believe they can win, and then they start to really, really win at a high level. And I think it's going to be rough for Nebraska this year. But
I mean, a lot of coaches have like a 3 to 5 year plan, I want to say. There's usually that.
That's a lot of coaches have that plan, but then a lot of schools have a shortened plan now, a condensed plan, because a lot of fans think like, transfer portal.
True.
Let's just win. Let's just win now.
I mean,
it's like, I get that. It's possible.
Deion's definitely set that formula up for that.
Yeah, but Deion's such an outlier. He's Coach Prime, if you will. He's such a charismatic guy.
He is.
Also, a Hall of Fame NFL player.
Yeah.
He one of the coolest things that he said he did was the New York Giants brought him in for a pre-draft interview, and they like handed him this long test and wanted him to do the test, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" They're like, "Oh, we just want to see your like mental cognitive abilities for when it comes to like under pressure, like coverages and everything." He's like, "What pick do you guys have?" And they're like, "Oh, we're picking 10." He's like, "I'm not going to be on the board by then." He just walks out of the room.
Right.
And he wasn't. He was taking like 5th or something.
Yeah.
So he's one of the coolest guys, I think, in sports history.
Well, what do you call it? He also had the quote draft day where he was like, "I'm so happy Detroit didn't take me. I was going to ask for so much money they were going to have to put me on layaway." Like, I mean, like, who does that? With the Jerry curl and the chain and
Yeah. Also, this has just turned into the
just we love Deion now.
Reminiscing.
But I mean, like,
he was also like, when you have like cachet as a coach, like when players know who you are, that's extremely important, because he like I said, he was a Hall of Fame player. He was so good at cornerback that he would get bored of the quarterback not throwing in his direction, so he would sag off the receiver so the quarterback would throw, and then he would go get a pick. That's how good he was. That's insane. And that's the guy coaching Travis Hunter right now.
Yeah.
That guy is going to be so good. But like, it's possible with a Deion, with Coach Prime, because he is larger than life. He can go into a kid's living room and sell him like, "Yeah, no, you come here, we're gonna win 11 games year one." And they're like, "Yeah, sure, let's go win 11 games." It's gonna be harder for a coach who's a good coach who's worked his way up the ranks but doesn't have that like X factor like Deion Sanders, where you can just charm the pants off of anybody, you know.
Right. I mean,
he's not doing this to the kids he's recruiting, but you know what I mean.
There's a lore
really
about him.
Foot in my mouth there with that one. I think the point gets across.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's hard to convince so many good players in 1 year to join your program to where you're immediately good, especially if you were taking over for a program that was very bad the year before. And so Matt Rule might have this 3-5-year plan. Nebraska and Nebraska fans, they've got like a 2-year plan. And they're like, we want to be good now. And so, I don't know. It's going to be a long year for Nebraska. It seems like they got a really good defense. It seems like they got a bad offense. We'll see what happens.
It's not even that it's bad per se. It's just the mistakes. They just can't hold on to the ball. I mean, like, they can formulate a drive and go down the field. It's just ball security at this point. And if they can solve that issue, granted, it is a big issue, they should be okay. But until you see it, you got to believe that they're going to be in trouble. So,
yeah.
What game do you want to go to next?
I was really interested in Tulane and Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
I was really excited for that game going in. Didn't know until the start of the game. Tulane's quarterback was out.
Yep, Michael Pratt was out for that game.
Yeah. Really good quarterback, didn't play.
And they held their own for majority of the game.
Yeah.
They looked pretty
there was
decent.
a time where I thought they were going to win.
Yeah.
Like late into the game. In the fourth quarter, I was like, beginning the fourth quarter, I was like, I think Tulane's going to win this thing. But then they didn't end up winning. But I think that just goes to show how good Tulane is. That they don't have their starting quarterback, and they still almost won against a top 25 team in Ole Miss. Sure, it was at home. Sure, the crowd was super pumped for that game, so they really had a home field advantage there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I think Tulane is... That reassured me just how good Tulane is this year. And...
Is there such thing as a good loss in your book?
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. The committee would argue, but yeah.
There's a good thing. Such thing as a good loss.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is. If you are, let me concoct an example here. Let's say you played Georgia.
Right.
You're like 33-point underdogs against Georgia.
Right.
You take them to the wire.
Right.
And you just barely lose to Georgia. That's a good loss. You don't want to lose. You'd rather win. That's a good loss.
Disagree. It's not. I just think it's a good loss.
It's a moral victory.
Sure, I'll give you that, but it's still a loss. It's not.
A moral victory is a good loss.
No.
Yes.
No.
You're telling me if some coach, like let's say, year one, I don't know, Western Michigan, they hired Lance Taylor year one. That's their coach. They're playing Michigan week one. They didn't, but let's say they did. They're 40-point dogs in that game. And they hang with them. They're like right there. You don't think that instills some confidence in Western Michigan and Lance Taylor as your coach?
No, because you just had the opportunity to have a massive win and you didn't.
Against a team way better than you.
No, it's like App State against UNC this week. App State took UNC to overtime twice. Ended up losing the game.
But that's different, though.
How's it different?
App State is supposed to be a solid group of five team. They're supposed to be a good group of five team. And they barely lost to UNC last year. People knew that there was the capacity for it to be close. And then they end up losing again. That's not the same thing.
I mean, I just look at it from like App State to UNC or like Texas to Alabama last year where you lose by 1. You want to win that game. Nothing says that you don't want to win that game. And then you just aren't able to close out the game. I don't think there's such thing as a good loss because
no one
regardless
wants to have a good loss, but it's
no. But I mean, like, there's no such thing as it. If you lose a game, you lose. No one looks at like Texas is a great example of this. Texas lost all their games last year by 1 possession or less, and they didn't even make a bowl game. They're like 7. Were they like 7-5 or 5-7? I forget.
I think they were 7-5. They made a bowl game.
They made a bowl game. They were 7-5, right? But those 5 games that they lost are the difference between a really good season and a really bad season off of those 1 possessions.
I think what you're doing is you are combining a bunch of losses that are really close versus what I'm saying is 1 loss that's really, really close that you should not have been in. A game that you shouldn't have been in.
Disagree. It's just not a good loss. There's no such thing as a good loss.
Try telling your kids that when they don't go undefeated in YMCA soccer.
That's very different.
Anyway. Okay, here we go. Here's one. This is one that I'm really excited about. Iowa State.
Golly. Are we really going to have to talk about this one?
Yes, we are. Because you know why?
I fell asleep to this one. I'm not going to lie. I literally fell asleep to this game. If you notice, we have notes here where I took during the game. At halftime, I took a nap, and I did not wake up for the rest of this game because defense was dominating this game. And
yeah,
I literally have in my notes, I don't think I've seen Iowa State on Iowa's half of the field yet, and it's the second quarter with 4:29 left. Now, I will say, right after I did that, they were able to score a field goal and get to the other side of the field. But my goodness, this game stunk as far as offensive productivity went.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, and that's why it stands out to me.
Yeah.
They put in Brian Ferentz' contract that he needs to average 25 points a game this year. Through 2 games, sure, they have at least 10 more games to go. I know that they can get this average up, but through 2 games, they're only averaging 22 points.
To be fair, he has won those 2 games.
Sure, but it was against Iowa State and what, Utah State?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Those are bad teams.
Yeah. But
You're only putting up 22 points a game against bad teams. That is not good.
He had 17 at half. There is that.
Cool. He had 3 in the second half.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very excited to keep track of that all year long to see what their points per game average is.
Right.
Because I don't think it's gonna hit 25.
Man.
And I think they're gonna have to. Dump Mr. Ferentz. Or
we'll see.
Any other games you want to talk about? Any other notable games?
I'm really following the Utah this season. Thought they looked good with against Florida. Thought they didn't look good against Baylor. I really did think that Bryson Barnes was their quarterback, their backup quarterback behind Cam Rising, and boy oh boy did he stink against Baylor. Went 6 for 19, 71 yards, just couldn't throw the ball basically. Couldn't do anything against Baylor's defense. And then Kyle Whittingham decided to make the change, bring in Nate Johnson, and boy oh boy did that game change completely with that change. Went 6 for 7, 82 yards after that in the fourth quarter, and they were able to actually drive the ball that game. Cole Bishop, their safety, highlight player during the primetime game against Florida, made a late-time interception to basically seal the game. But, man, also want to point out I thought the game was over. Utah scores. They kick the ball down. Baylor has to go, I want to say, like 70-something yards, right? They take a shot deep. They're able to get the ball out of bounds at the 22-yard line with 1 second left. They actually went to review for this game and determined that they have 1 second left on it. Baylor's quarterback throws the ball, a go route to the left-hand side. Clear and obvious pass interference by Utah. No call. Game's over.
Yeah.
So I think with that call, this game could be a lot different because is it a 10 or 15-yard penalty for pass interference?
It's 15.
It's 15. So 15 right there. They would have been on the 7-yard line. No time left. I think this game could have been different.
Yeah.
But
could have gone over. It's not a guaranteed win. But
no. Definitely not.
They definitely got screwed.
They got screwed at the very end, as well as Kyle Whittingham with the whereabouts to say, you know what, the second string isn't working. We're going to bring in the third string, and the third string pulled it through for him. So
yeah.
Some could argue there is a little bit of depth within the Utah quarterback room.
Mm-hmm. And Nate Johnson was he's just a freshman. He was a very highly recruited freshman, but he's just a freshman. So
right. We'll say he did not look good against Florida. It was clear and obviously Bryson Barnes' team with the Florida game because he looked good, and then I
think that's what Baylor saw too, and they probably didn't prepare as much.
Well, I think you just knew which quarterback you're gonna have, and they made the change late, and they were able to get it done.
Sometimes I think with my takeaway from the first 2 weeks for Utah is their defense is still really strong. Mm-hmm. Once they get Cam Rising back, they're going to be very good.
I think so too.
But if they've got a tough schedule coming up. They got a real tough schedule.
He might be back next week. He might be back this week.
Yeah, if they don't get him soon and get him in rhythm soon, their hopes for the ceiling could be over.
Right.
Because they've got Oregon State coming up real soon.
Right.
And then I think they got Washington.
Oh yeah, they got that whole Pac-12 slate coming up.
Yeah.
Very shortly.
Yeah, they start Pac-12 play soon. It could be real bad for them.
Right. Yeah.
Anything else, or you want to move on to the stories?
I mean, I will say, with A&M's loss to Miami, wasn't able to watch a lot of the game, but that is definitely a hot seat I will watch for this season.
Yeah.
Even with that loss to Miami, I think A&M's Jimbo Fisher's on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Do you have any comments about that game?
No, it's just. I mean, you nailed it basically. Miami looked pretty much in control for most of it. It was back and forth in the beginning, and then Miami kind of took the reins of that game. But yeah, that's one of these early season games where it's hard to tell whether Miami's just that good or Texas A&M is just that bad. You know,
right.
On paper, it looks like a solid win for Miami. They beat a top 25 team.
Right.
But
is A&M a top 20?
Exactly.
Top 25 worthy team.
And
we just got it wrong with all the talent they have, and they can't make it gel.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's another guy that the game might have passed by is Jimbo Fisher, plus Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Petrino is not the same coach that he once was. I still think he's a solid coach. Anyone saying he's a bad coach is, I think, wrong. But I don't know. Plus, A&M fans are they really need you to win. And it's also the fun fact, largest public university in America.
I can believe it.
Yeah. So if you don't win, boy, they can get real loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if their season starts to turn, he's gonna be hitting the road. They're gonna be putting Bobby in that interim position. They're gonna be looking for a new coach.
Yeah.
I said they're weird, and so I just kind of
We rolled with it.
I leaned in.
What do you call it? I think the benchmark for him is 8 wins. He's got to find 8.
Yeah.
And after losing to Miami, there goes one of those 8.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, potentially Alabama's a little more manageable this year.
Right.
We'll see. But I mean, I don't know if there's like a set mark. And even if there is, I don't know if 8 wins is the mark because Texas A&M has high expectations for their football program. So I don't know. We'll see. That's definitely going to be something to keep an eye
Right.
on.
Notre Dame, NC State, that game. Sam Hartman looks really good. I mean, I was saying he looked really good, and you were like, they played Navy and in Ireland, and they played Tennessee State. Yeah. But now they played a decent team in NC State.
Yeah, NC State's got good defense.
And he looked pretty good. Game got delayed due to weather delay.
A billion games got delayed.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
It was one of them. That game, Virginia Tech, Purdue was another one.
Virginia Tech, Purdue got delayed by like 7 hours.
Yeah.
That game was crazy. I feel so bad for all those players.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. Little side note, NC State's very brand new scoreboard got struck by lightning. And that was exciting to see.
I did not know that.
It short circuited there for a little bit. Little blotches of it. You can look it up and see it.
That's good.
But basically Notre Dame, it got interesting for a little bit, but Notre Dame eventually was able to pull away. At one point it was like 38-17. I forget what the final score was, but Notre Dame looks really good, and Sam Hartman looks really good in that offense.
Here's my takeaway from that game. I don't think NC State's. I don't know. They have not impressed me so far.
I agree
with their pretty dicey win against UConn, and then their dominant loss against Notre Dame. They don't look that impressive. Sam Hartman, though, you keep talking about how good he looks. I think the book is out on Sam Hartman. All you have to do is be able to get pressure on him consistently. That's what NC State did very, very early in the game. That's what they went away from later in the game. And they got blown out later in the game.
They did.
I think you just have to get pressure on Sam Hartman, and he panics.
Well, also, I think if you don't allow a progression passer to go through his progressions, he's going to struggle.
Well, no, but the thing is, like, the best quarterbacks, you know, may they be pocket passer and, like, progression guys, you know, just like read 1, read 2, read 3. If you blitz them, the best quarterbacks, no matter if they're, like, athletic or not, no matter if they're supposed to, like, go through all the progressions, they'll pick you apart when you blitz them because you're just putting less guys in coverage out there. And so the best guys, they'll be like, oh, you're sending 7, you're sending 8, great. I'll just easy 7-yard pickup. You know, when you send guys and actually get guys towards Sam Hartman, he panics. He folds. And I think Notre Dame has a significantly better offensive line than Wake Forest did last year. So that's going to be harder to do than it was at Wake Forest last year. Because people realized last year, like, oh, just blitz him. He panics. The O-line sucks. It's easy. Just blitz him. And that's what people did. And I think that's still what you have to do. You just have to be able to get pressure.
We'll see.
Those are my takeaways from that game.
Fair enough. I think NC State next week, not this week, but next week, Louisville will be a good test for them to see where they're at. Still think Notre Dame looks pretty good right now.
I mean,
and I'm riding with them. I mean, like I think I had them like 10-2 on the year. They got some tests coming up, and it'll be interesting to see.
they've got a real tough stretch coming up. They got Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, USC. With Louisville probably being the easiest game in there.
1,000%.
And it's at Louisville.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a real tough stretch.
It'll be interesting to watch and see what happens. Anyway, little side notes here, just a little glimpse. Clemson decided to play with their food this week, in my opinion. We weren't really going to highlight this game at all. But Clemson played Charleston Southern, and I have it in the notes just for the sole purpose of that on the scroll. Their offense gave up some turnovers, a pick six and some fumbles, and didn't have ball security, and it was 24-17 basically going into half. And then but their defense basically held Charleston Southern to basically no yards. So I mean, like, there's that for them, as they should. But I mean, like, they played with their food, and then they eventually pulled away, and it was 59-17. They didn't let them score in the second half, but
yeah,
it was just like one of those things where like you kept an eye on.
Yeah, that I definitely saw like the halftime score.
Right, and you're like, what's going on here? Like, is there something going on here? And it was nothing. It was something that was nothing. If you look at the underlying numbers, their defense looked good. It was just ball security issues.
Yeah.
Some big key plays. UNC App State went into overtime, as we kind of mentioned earlier. App State, you highly believe in, is a pretty decent team.
Yes, a very good. As far as the group of five goes, I think they're very good.
Right.
I think there's probably 5 teams in the group of 5 as of now that I'm looking at that I'm like, they could be really good.
They could be something. Right.
And yeah, they're one of them.
I mean, they took it down to the wire, double overtime. UNC had to come back to get that game. Last second field goal from UNC was initially missed, but App State called timeout and iced it. And then, yeah, Tar Heels win, double overtime. Drake May took a big hit trying to go for a 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
2-point conversion. Didn't get it. Went on to win. Another close game to comment about. Last game that I have here, and we'll get into the news here. Oregon versus Texas Tech. I really think Texas Tech, even though starting 0-2, could be a ranked team in the future.
Yeah, they had a bad week 1 loss.
Yeah,
and then they
couldn't finish the job against Oregon.
They really held their own until the very end against Oregon.
Hey, they just fumbled it. Pick 6 by Jeffrey Bassa basically secured the win.
Yeah, and with Wyoming, they were probably looking ahead. You know, they were like,
we got Oregon.
They were like, okay, Oregon, that's the big one. We just got to get through this game and then beat Oregon. We're good. And
I've never thought I could say that, but Texas Tech being an 0-2 team, they could be ranked later on in the season.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you see what's there and what they can be.
Yeah, but they're just gonna have to put it together. You know, they could be one of those teams that goes 7-5, and like those 5 losses are all real close. But it's like, well, you still lost 5 games.
Right. And also shout out to Washington State finally being ranked, beating Wisconsin at Washington State. But other than that, those are the games that we have covered for week 2. And let's get into the news.
Yep.
The news. I'll let you start.
Okay, well, first we got comments by Caleb Williams' dad saying that if Caleb Williams doesn't like whoever ends up being the number 1 pick in the draft, the team, he might stay in college. This is a pretty common threat by quarterbacks. It probably carries a little more weight now because of NIL. You know, like,
a little bit, but $2 million to the $70 million you can make in the NFL. It's
on a first contract.
It's not even the first contract. It's how fast you can get.
That's the only one that's guaranteed.
No, it's not. Contract. It's not even about the first contract. I mean, if he is what a number 1 pick should be, which is a franchise player,
well, yeah,
it's about how fast you can get to that second contract.
Well, yeah,
and I think it's a lot of money to potentially miss out on by not going.
But also, it's a lot of money that you could potentially miss out on by going to the wrong situation.
Maybe, but if you're a generational talent, you're able to turn things around. You're
the
building.
Browns suck.
I mean, like the teams that you're looking at, where
The Cardinals are pretty bad.
he's gonna go. It's gonna be the Cardinals. It's gonna be Atlanta. It's gonna be Washington Redskins.
Well,
maybe.
Atlanta won week 1, so I know we're a college show, but
Right.
anyway.
I mean, we'll see, but I think this is these are blank threats. He's gonna go pro. If you're projected the number 1 QB and you go, I mean, what more does he have to prove? I mean, unless USC does he want to try to go for a national championship? And if they falter this year and don't have that opportunity, because he's already got the Heisman.
That could be part of it, but also what could be a big thing in his mind is his coach is Lincoln Riley. That's like the quarterback whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln Riley, I don't
Baker
think
Mayfield, Kyler Murray.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Kind of just looked like a fullback playing quarterback when he was at Alabama. When he went to Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley, all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, this guy is a legit quarterback. He's really good. And now he's really good in the NFL. Lincoln Riley did that. I mean, yes, Jalen Hurts did that as well. You know, if he didn't work hard, he couldn't have done that. But, like, Lincoln Riley did that. Lincoln Riley just makes you better at quarterback. So if you just get an extra year under Lincoln Riley, you're going to be even better going into the NFL, especially if the option is between going in a really bad situation or staying another year with Lincoln Riley. You're going to be so much better. That's how I look at it. And that's probably how they look at it too.
I don't know. If you're projected number 1 overall, I mean, we have 2 examples of quarterbacks that were number 1 overall picks under Lincoln Riley who decided to go, and bad situations, but I mean, Kyler Murray's one, Baker Mayfield's another one. Jalen Hurts was a 2nd-round pick, went to a good situation in the Eagles, worked out for him. But I mean, like, as far as it goes, it's like Murray got to his 2nd contract and is making buku bucks. What do you call it? Mayfield, I don't think got to the 2nd contract that he wanted.
Yeah, no.
But he didn't really show.
He's had several contracts afterwards.
Right, and he's a viable starting quarterback. He's a top 30 quarterback in the NFL and can be a starting quarterback, but I just don't see why you would not take the money.
Okay, but here's my argument against that. If Lamar Jackson could have gone after his sophomore year, after all that hype with the Heisman, before people went on that mudslinging campaign against Lamar Jackson, he wouldn't have fallen all the way to 32.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gone to the Ravens at 32. He probably wouldn't have gone to some team that desperately needed a quarterback that wasn't as well coached, as well run an organization as the Ravens. And so that situation was perfect for Lamar. I think Lamar is great. I think Lamar would have been good at many other stops. That being said, the Ravens were perfect for him because they were willing to
mold an offense around him.
Yes, to cater to his strengths and try to develop him other ways. Which
I hear you. But I mean, like, what are the strengths and weaknesses of Caleb Williams, and why wouldn't he go pro? I mean, like, honestly, like, you're saying another year on the Lincoln Riley. You're saying that he might want to have a shot at all other accolades in college. I'm just saying, from a pure financial decision, it is a dumb decision to not go pro.
I don't think so, because if the team is bad, if the team ruins, like, if you look awful in a bad organization, but it's not your fault, that could have been avoided by going somewhere else.
Yeah, but then you're why kick the can down the road to where senior year comes and then you're just stuck having to go to the program? Like, what's to say that program is not going to suck another year and then you're going to be there again?
It's possible, but that's when you pulled the Eli Manning. That's when you pull the John Elway where you're like, I'm not playing for them.
You're not playing for the Chargers?
Because
you're going to New York?
Exactly. I'm going to look up who John Elway,
It was what? Broncos and...
the Broncos traded for John Elway.
White.
I think it was the Buccaneers. If it was the Buccaneers were terrible for a long, long, long time. So Elway made the right decision being like, I am not playing there. Bo Jackson did that. Bo Jackson got drafted by the Buccaneers. He said, no, I'm good. I'm going to go not play in the NFL.
But the whole reason for that, though, is that they did him wrong in that he became ineligible for Auburn's baseball season. Basically, by him doing the trip out to visit the facility and stuff.
Sucked back then. But
also, if you watch the 30 for 30 on You Don't Know Bo, great documentary. It's actually one of my favorite 30 for 30s. He became ineligible for Auburn's baseball season, and that's the whole reason why he did not go to the Buccaneers, even though they drafted him, because he basically said, if you draft me, I will not play for you, and I'm going to choose baseball out of spite, because basically saying that you made me ineligible for something that I cared so dearly about. I'm going to choose baseball over football. And then the Raiders were like, hey, we'll use this 7th round pick, and hopefully he comes.
Probably didn't help that it was the Buccaneers.
He's, from his words and his quotes, he's basically...
I'm just saying.
You're just saying that Caleb Williams isn't going to go pro because he
I'm
needs
not
another
guaranteeing
year.
anything.
He needs another year with the Lincoln Riley
Riley will make him better if he plays another year. What would make him better? Playing another year under Lincoln Riley or going with John Gannon? All right, look, I love John Gannon.
Do you?
Yeah, he's a Louisville alum. I love John Gannon, but he's not a quarterback guy.
Have you seen those? They've shown like his pregame talks.
No, but I've heard they're bad.
Man, they make you want to run through some pillows. I tell you that much. It's not much more. He is I'm surprised he got the job.
Don't think that's a good organization. Anyway.
No, it's not. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
In other news, there's more dads ripping on. Yeah. More dads talking about more quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Ugalea.
Nope.
I can't say.
Ugalele.
Ugale's dad rips Dabo Sweeney, saying he puts his own animosities above players in the team. The direct tweet that he has.
Yeah, the direct X.
It's a tweet. Whatever. It said, I get it. You're against the portal and you dislike NIL, but that's you and how you feel. Your obligation is to the athletes and what best fits success of the program. Does he have a point?
Yeah.
And also, I think Dabo Sweeney's starting to become a dinosaur in the world of college football.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
They only brought in one transfer this year.
That's like one more than they have like any other year, basically.
Right. They only brought in one transfer from Arizona State, a quarterback. Paul Tyson, I believe was his name.
I don't know. He's not seen the field.
No, he has not. Dabo Sweeney has basically already come out and said that he hates using the portal, hates the way the portal is being used now, and that basically he's one of these old heads that feels like college football's dying. And I think he's dying and not changing his ways.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that he did this offseason, which I thought was going to keep him and Clemson relevant for a little while longer, was he dumped his offensive coordinator and then poached Garrett Riley from TCU, who was incredible at TCU. He was incredible at SMU. And then I thought, like, oh, he's kind of like getting up with the times a little bit. Still not using the transfer portal, which is insane. But I really thought that was going to help ease the transition from like Dinosaur Dabo to like, all right, like he's not as rigid as we once thought. No, I couldn't tell you. Obviously, I couldn't tell you. I'm not a part of the program there, but I couldn't tell you like how much control Dabo Sweeney has over that offense, but I would be willing to bet it's like Garrett Riley doesn't have free reign there. I guarantee his ideas are being squashed a little bit because Dabo's like, no, I'm the head coach. I'm the CEO. My word is final. When instead of understanding like my ideas aren't as useful as they once were. Let's get some like fresh blood in here. Let's see what they can do. And Garrett Riley is a guy that has proven that he can put points on the board. And it doesn't seem like he's just letting him do his thing. That plus not hitting the transfer portal like every other successful coach has done. And DJ Uiagalelei looking good at Oregon State.
Yeah.
To me, that says big apology to Uiagalelei because I thought he was terrible. I think it was way, way, way more on Dabo than it was on him. He's showing why he was a 5-star recruit.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I don't know. It's the downfall has started I will say that definitively. I'm not going to say that for Nick Saban yet, but I will say that with Dabo Swinney.
Here's how I view the whole Dabo Swinney and the refusal to use the transfer portal, right? My whole view about it is that as a job, you can hate the transfer portal. You can acknowledge and say, I dislike the transfer portal and that this is awful. But you have to acknowledge the value that is there. And you have to acknowledge for the better of your team and to not be stubborn in your ways that you have to utilize what is offered to you and what is offered to every other program, basically. You can extremely dislike whatever, but for the betterment of your job and your job security, you have to realize that you have to utilize this product that is offered to you and offered to everyone else. In that you have to go out there and seek the top talent, whether or not they're job hunting and they're looking for the best amount of money possible or whatever. But you have to acknowledge that to make your program better or even just sustain where your program has been for the past decade, that you have to utilize this, whether or not you like it or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sooner or later, if he doesn't and the results keep coming like they did Monday night against Duke, he's going to be in trouble as far as job security goes.
Yeah. I remember early 2020, Scott Satterfield went on the Pat McAfee show, did an interview on the Pat McAfee show, and this was pre
open portal, basically?
No, this was pre NIL. I can't remember. I was trying to remember what the court case was called, but it is the NIL.
Oh, okay.
It was pre NIL.
Yeah, because the portal's been open since 2018.
Yeah, Pat McAfee asked Scott Satterfield about NIL and it potentially being legalized. And he's like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it entitles players. I don't think players should be paid. Very clearly putting it out there. The second NIL was allowed, Scott Satterfield used NIL to his every advantage. He had an amazing recruiting class that he just paid to come to Louisville. And then when he left, basically none of them followed him, which just showed that it was about the money, not him. And so even Scott Satterfield hates NIL, is utilizing it to the fullest extent. Lane Kiffin has railed against NIL in the portal. He is using it. Dabo Swinney is not.
As far as we know, yeah.
Yeah. As far as we know, he's only got one transfer.
Well, the transfer, I think recruiting and transfer is different. I think he might be using it for recruits. I think as far as transfer go, he's not even dipping his toe in the water because he thinks it's dirty.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So.
Yeah. I mean, he can leave Clemson at any point he wants, but he gets upset.
I don't think it's about leaving Clemson. I think
I'm just saying, like, he could leave whenever he wants, but he gets upset when players can leave when they want.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
And he's a guy that always talks about entitlement. You know? I hate Dabo Swinney.
He said some quote about the only NIL we need, and I'm paraphrasing here, is like name, image under God. Like, I forget what he said.
The only NIL we need is like God's NIL, something like that. I know exactly.
There's something paraphrased about that. And it was like, what are you saying?
I don't like him. He's a jerk off.
All right. I'll let you take the next segment.
Anyway, someone we do like is Mack Brown.
Shout out Mack Brown.
Because you know why? Because he's saying shame to the people that we hate.
Any hater of my enemy is a friend of mine. What's the saying exactly?
No, you said that horribly.
Okay.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the enemy, even though we talk about their sports a lot, is the NCAA.
God, we hate them.
Bet your ass we do.
God, they suck.
So what did Mack Brown shame an NCAA for? Why is he upset?
Because Tez Walker has been ruled ineligible for the 2023 season.
Who is Tez Walker?
Tez Walker transferred to North Carolina. He is a defensive player.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver?
He's a wide
I
receiver.
thought he was a defensive player.
No.
Look at that. Where did he transfer to? Kent State?
Yep, Kent State.
Transferred from Kent State.
Yep.
He's ineligible because the NCAA hates happiness. And Mack Brown said, I don't know if I've ever been more disappointed in a person, group of people, or institution than I am with the NCAA right now.
Damn right.
Plain and simple. The NCAA has failed Tez and his family, and I've lost all faith in its ability to lead and govern our sport. The decision makers at the NCAA and the committee should be ashamed of themselves for doing this to a young man. Tez should be eligible for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the mental health issues he's faced during his time in college. And with this decision, the NCAA has placed an unnecessary burden on him. Go off, King. I hate the NCAA. Look, if someone bashes the NCAA, we're going to talk about it.
Absolutely.
We hate the NCAA.
That's what's up.
Charlie Baker sucks.
Charlie Baker sucks.
I hate him.
Horrible.
I hate him. He's clearly made it his mission to govern the transfer portal. Unlike Mark Emmert, because Mark Emmert was a coward. He's like, no, there's a new sheriff in town. And it's like, no. You know your place. You're not the main. You're the side character, okay? You're an extra in the background. You're the antagonist. You're not the main character here. That's all I have to say about that, basically. I just hate the NCAA.
It sucks to see a very talented wide receiver not be able to play this year.
Yeah.
And I believe it's because of a double transfer rule is what it is. It's you get
one-time transfer rule.
You get one-time transfer rule, and then the second time you have to have an appeal. I forget the exact
You have to
word.
appeal, yes.
Yeah, so and he lost his appeal.
They've been giving waivers for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
For virtually everybody. They've been giving waivers. I mean, Florida State had a player that they didn't give a waiver to, but it's what are they doing? What are they doing?
What are they doing? But yeah, go off, King.
Yeah.
Say your piece.
Love you, Mack Brown.
Until you play us.
Yeah. Well, we don't play this year, so.
Fair enough. What are you talking about? ACC championship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, forget Florida State.
Yeah, forget. Anyway.
It's going to be a three-way game. They're gonna let Louisville, Florida State, and UNC line up all at the same time.
I have no idea how that will work.
It's gonna be a crazy coin toss.
Oh man,
it's gonna be a die roll.
All right.
They're gonna be like, pick two numbers. Pick two numbers.
All right.
All right. Well, now we've got.
Yeah.
This is a fun topic. We got Mel Tucker.
Okay. For those of you who have lived under a rock, basically for the past 48 hours or so, Mel Tucker is in a sexual harassment case. Do want to preface this that before we start talking about this, if you do have any triggers to this, please feel free to click through. We have chapters throughout the video. You can click through at any point throughout this video. Just a disclaimer. So basically, Mel Tucker is still currently under Title IX investigation for sexual harassment of a rape survivor, Brenda Tracy, a known activist within the sexual assault community, advocate against it, basically. Brenda Tracy, after looking more into this, is a sexual assault survivor and rape survivor.
By football players.
Yeah, but at
Oregon State.
Oregon State, yes, correct. And basically, she's made it her life mission to go around to football programs and advocate them on the harms and causes of it. So, a partnership that started in all good forms originally with her and Mel Tucker and her talking to Michigan State football players about the harms of sexual assault.
Yeah, definitely a school that needs it.
Yes, absolutely. Basically,
you can look that up on your own if you want.
Right, and then basically the sexual assault that occurred April 22nd, 2022, when Tucker masturbated during a phone call with Tracy, and argued that it was consensual phone sex in the Title IX investigation, where Tracy completely argues it wasn't consensual.
Yeah. If you know anything about the definition for consensual, one of them is correct.
It's got to be a two-way party, yeah. It's unfortunate. And then Tucker's basically gone on a smearing campaign trying to discredit Tracy after this investigation started last year. So what's crazy to me is that Michigan State knew about this investigation, and it's been going on since basically last year.
December, yeah.
Yeah.
They knew about it since December.
Right, and they've gone through this entire year not making it public or anything. ESPN has asked for documents and evidence on it. Their president has stated certain laws within Michigan about privacy to not allow ESPN to get these records.
BS.
It's just all unfortunate to see that this has taken place.
Yeah. I mean, so to me, this is just on top of the irony of sexually harassing someone that goes around
that you brought into
talking about why sexual assault is bad.
Someone that you brought into your program to educate your men about your players about this.
Moving past that, the school knew about this in December. They tried to keep it under the rug. They hired a third party to investigate this, who came back with findings in July.
Yeah.
They knew everything that there was to know in July. And then they scheduled, in July, they scheduled a meeting in October to decide what to do with Mel Tucker. They were very clearly trying to just slow play this and see if no one figured out so that they could keep Mel Tucker. And then when it all came out, now they're putting him on suspension with no pay. They're going to end up firing him because there's a clause in all Michigan State coaches' contracts to where if you are involved in a lawsuit, you have to inform your superiors, which he did not do. And so that's what they're going to end up getting him on. They're going to end up firing him for cause. And their only reason they're going to fire him for cause is because they got found out.
Right.
They don't care about this. They don't care at all. This is just like Northwestern. This is like Northwestern trying to suspend
Pat Fitzgerald.
Yeah, suspend him for 2 weeks over the summer and be like, that'll satisfy it. And then the newspaper releases all their findings.
Right.
And then they're forced to fire
The
him.
findings were done by USA Today. But the fallout of this all, if we're talking not just how stupid Tucker is in all of this, but smearing not only did he commit the act, do the act, then he went and lied about all of it, but then he also admitted to it to Title IX investigators, but then he's trying to do a smearing campaign on Tracy. Anyway, the fallout of all of this, what I was originally talking about, is because now that he has been fired due to NCAA rules, all the players on Michigan State's team now have 30 days to decide whether or not they want to enter the portal and find a new team. It'll be interesting to see if any go or what comes out of all this. But
yeah, and the thing is, that team this season's over. All these guys are going to leave.
I don't know about all.
A lot of them are going to leave, I feel like. A lot of people are going to leave.
I don't think a lot of people left Northwestern in the whole situation that
You know why a lot of people didn't leave? Because it was before the season, and so there was time for them to put an interim, for them to kind of right the ship, so to speak. They could have done this over the summer.
Michigan State has already put an interim in Harlem Bennett, as well as former coach Mark D'Antoni is expected to assist in an undefined role, whatever that means.
Yeah, he's probably going to be an assistant coach
Right.
of some kind. But
I think it's just they're patching holes where they can
Yeah.
at this point. But, Mel Tucker just fumbled, I think, a $90 million bag.
I think it's like
basically.
70-something.
Right, but I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, he was getting like $9 million a year.
it was ridiculous. He became one of the highest paid coaches because
One of the highest paid coaches, the highest paid black coach in all college sports.
Right. Also, when you hear him talk in interviews and stuff, I thought it was just like football talk in the way that he was talking. He just comes off as an unintelligent person, it seems like. Mel Tucker does. He just doesn't seem...
In light of new things.
Well, not even in light of new things. Like, when I originally heard him talk, I was like, oh, like, it must... I just chalked it up to, like, that's just the way he is, like, football-wise, like...
You thought he was like a rah-rah guy?
Right, yeah. And then I was just like, oh, no, you're just stupid. Because, like, there's more stuff about, like, in this investigation on how he admits to cheating to his wife and how he wanted to meet up with Tracy through a back door in a hotel room. And there's other information about that. I couldn't find those specific information, but I know it's somewhere where I read it. But it's just, like, all of it is just, like, what?
I don't know, yeah. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's
so unbelievably stupid.
right.
And he deserves to be fired with cause. The thing is, what is the athletic director doing? What's the president doing? They knew about this. They were trying to sweep it under the rug and just move on with their lives. They shouldn't have jobs either.
I don't know enough about it to comment.
If they knew about it in December, if they had concluded an investigation in July, they knew that they should have fired him.
I know the Title IX maybe they're waiting. Maybe they were waiting for doing their due diligence and waiting for the Title IX investigation to be over.
That's what they're claiming. But
I also understand of like, you have findings, you have information, so there's obviously something there. But until you go through the full protocol of everything, you can't do certain things because then it opens up to you in some form of liability. And then this is jargon lawyer talk coming in. But it seemed like they did their due diligence from when the story broke, and then they basically fired him. But at the end of it all, they did the right decision, right? Is it you just have an issue with the timeline of how long it took them to do it?
Absolutely, I do. Yes, because
the
right decision too late is the wrong decision. In some cases, I think it is. In this case, I absolutely believe the right decision too late is the wrong move.
I don't know enough about it to comment. I hear what you're saying, though.
I really do just think it's higher ups at a school just trying to protect their investment. I don't think they care about the lives.
Speaking of investments,
yes, sir.
We're back.
We are
another week of
name TBD.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like Derek's Derek's stocked picks or whatever. I don't know. It's my portfolio. It's your portfolio. It's our portfolio. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Last week, we had a great week.
Did we now?
Oh, we had a great week.
How good was the week?
We went 6-0. That's a +6 right there.
How about that?
Now we're sitting in +10 on the season.
How about that?
Oh yeah. It's already started to pay dividends.
So just to run y'all through with Derek's picks, he had UTSA, Western Kentucky, Louisville, Minnesota, and Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
UTSA beat a decent Texas State team by 20-17. Close one there. Western Kentucky, they beat Houston Christian. Never heard of that team until this week.
Nope.
Won 52-22. Got Kentucky versus EKU. Looked bad, but still came out with a win.
We care about the bottom line here.
Came out 28-17. Louisville versus Murray State. Rolled them. Played 9 quarterbacks in that game. 56-0. Minnesota versus Eastern Michigan. 25-6. Looked good. Some questions about the offense, but overall pretty decent. Maryland versus Charlotte. Gave up 20 points against Charlotte, but still came out with the win. 38-20. Now, Derek, any changes going on with this portfolio now that it's been 2 weeks and you're able to buy and sell the teams that you desire?
I am able to buy and sell freely. I've met fiduciary standards, and I am going to make some changes.
Are you now?
Yes, I am going to make some changes.
We're not riding it out with any of these. Are we keeping any of the 6 teams?
We are. Let me tell you the holds. Which, by the
Gotcha.
way, quick advice for all you out there listening: if your financial advisor doesn't adjust your portfolio every single week, they're not doing it right. They don't have your best interest in mind.
This is not financial advice.
They don't want you to make money. They're only making money off your commissions. They're only looking out for themselves if they don't adjust every single week.
Disclaimer: we are not financial advisors. This is
I am a
not
fiduciary.
This is not financial advice.
My first hold of the portfolio is the UTSA Roadrunners.
We are holding on to the UTSA.
For dear life, might I add.
Oh my goodness! And we have to hold them for another 2 weeks.
No.
Oh no!
No,
'cause
you just have to hold them for a minimum of 2 weeks once you buy.
Wow. Okay, guys. So we're holding on to UTSA. Who they got next week?
They
that we're
play
holding on.
Army. After that, they've got Tennessee, Temple, and UAB, the Fighting Dilfers.
It'd be interesting to see how long you hold on to
Yeah.
them for.
Well, that's for me to decide and you to find out
Absolutely.
when you see nothing but green. Green,
I
green,
hope
green.
to see another +6 on the next week.
Yes, the next team that I'm going to hold is going to be your very own Louisville Cardinals.
Oh, are we now?
That's right.
We're optimistic about the game heading into at Indianapolis against Indiana.
Yes, we are. We've got
Gotcha.
Indiana, Boston College. That's Boston College. NC State, and then Notre Dame at home.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. Colors might be red and black, but
We're going green.
we're going green. We're going to be in the black.
We're gonna be in the black.
No red. We're not going to break even. Not going to break even with this
Only
one.
going up.
It's only up from here to the freaking.
So we're keeping UTSA and Louisville.
Yes, and we're also going to hold Maryland.
Holding on to Maryland after they won 38-20 against Charlotte, but gave up 20 points to the
It
Charlotte
was
team.
very close in the first half.
Yes, it was.
By the way, into the first half, that was very clear pass interference. Oh, it was not pass interference that they called. Took away a touchdown. They could have won by even more.
How about that?
Anyway, they've got Virginia.
They got the cavalry
dub.
coming up.
Michigan State. All of a sudden, that's the easiest game in the world.
It might be.
It sure might be.
It might be.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on with that program?
We got another team that I'm. Look, I'm shorting this team right now. They play Indiana.
You don't like Indiana right now?
No, I do not.
No, really? No.
No.
No way.
And then they finish it off with Ohio State.
All right.
Which,
So we're holding half of the team so far. Any other holds for you?
you know what? I sure do have another hold.
Oh.
We've got Kentucky.
You're holding on to Kentucky after that scary performance against EKU.
Yeah, after they sucked so much. Yeah.
Why are we holding on to Kentucky?
Well, let me just read off that schedule for you. They got Akron, Vanderbilt, and Florida. 3 bad teams.
I would agree with the first 2.
You don't think Florida's bad?
I think they're better than the first 2.
Better than bad doesn't mean good.
I'm not saying that. I definitely think they're better than Akron and Vanderbilt.
And then, of course, after that, you got Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, look.
We might have to sell at some point.
Yeah, we'll have, look, we take it week by week here. All right?
Absolutely.
Now, getting to the sales.
So this means that we are getting rid of Minnesota and WKU.
We are indeed selling Minnesota and WKU. Minnesota, they play North Carolina. At North Carolina this week.
North Carolina was very close against App State. I'm just saying.
So,
They seemed a little vulnerable.
through 2 games, Minnesota has put up 38 points.
And 2 wins. Key
Not
factor.
Not into it.
All right.
They're out of the portfolio.
Minnesota is out.
They are out. All right. I don't have enough faith in the Greek rifle. That's what they call him.
Gotcha.
Nathan Kaliakmanis. That's his name.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah. You know why? As soon as I'm not racist, but as soon as I saw, that Greek name, all I could think about was the Athens stock market.
Oh, my God.
And I said, you know what? That's not a good investment. It's not a good investment.
I was waiting for the but. I'm not racist, but.
I'm not. I am not racist. The
But
other
you're
sell.
selling.
The other sell. Look, it was a joke. It was a swing and a miss. All right?
Is the Hilltoppers. Of
Yes, we're getting rid
Western
of
Kentucky.
Western Kentucky. Who builds a college on a freaking hill?
Hey, that's your former. I can't say alumni, but it's your former.
No, because I did not graduate. I did not graduate.
It's your former
In
stomping
fact, They
grounds.
asked me to never return. I hated that place. Anyway,
Yeah.
they play Ohio State. They're getting paid a whole lot of money to play Ohio State. They're going to get the floor waxed, the turf waxed with them.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, who am I replacing in my portfolio? Well,
Reminder: he cannot use any of the top 25 AP polls
yes,
teams.
We don't settle for the A and B 25. Okay, we're more creative than that.
AP.
A and B. First
A and
team
B.
we're buying. We got the Fresno State Bulldogs.
Ooh, interesting.
That's right. That's right.
They have a very fun and interesting game coming up against Arizona State.
They do at Arizona State. And then after that, they've got Kent State, who is down Tez Walker. They've got Nevada and Wyoming. That's looking like money to me.
Is it now?
All I see is money. I see money, 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 money,
What do you see?
money. No, then look, the grass is greener on the other side. It always is. Okay, so that's why I dumped.
I do like the pick, getting rid of a non-Power 5 school for another non-Power 5 school.
Yes.
It's a fun pick.
Exactly. That's where I'm gonna have to live. Let's be honest here. My
You might.
next pick and rounding out my portfolio is going to be the TCU Horned Frogs. They're sitting at 1-1. I didn't own them week 1.
You did not.
I did not have them in my portfolio. I couldn't. They were ranked. They were in the A and B 25. But up next, they've got Houston, SMU, West Virginia, Iowa State. That's looking pretty easy. Those are 5, if you include their previous game they just played against Nicholls State. That's 5 get-right games. All right? I'm seeing 5-1 right there. This portfolio is going to the moon, okay? Call Goldman Sachs. Call, Citigroup. Don't call Lehman Brothers. Because I'm better than them at this. As history has shown.
I'm surprised you didn't add one team that I thought you were going to add.
Who did you think I was going to add? Lehman?
I really thought you were high on Tulane. I thought you were going to pick Tulane.
I thought about it. I really did.
Did you? They're in your top 25.
They are. I
And
ranked
you
them.
could have picked them.
Well, I liked what I saw from Fresno State and TCU more.
How about that?
Texas Christian University. You know those Christians will never do you wrong. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get to the pick'em.
All right.
All right. Week 1. Not week 1. Game 1 of week 3 in our pick'em. We've got yes.
Can I just say,
Yes.
this week sucks.
You don't like my picks?
No, it's not even your picks. I don't have an issue with your picks. I just think this week of college football sucks in the matchups. Week 4, phenomenal. Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Boston College, Louisville. Ooh.
Oh,
Chomping at the bit for that
that's
one.
just the tip of the iceberg, let me tell you.
Tip of the iceberg. You mean the cherry on top?
Tip of the iceberg.
All right. Sure.
Yeah.
Look. We're gonna stick with week 3 for now.
Yeah. Week 4, I'm excited.
Yeah,
for
you guys
though.
can get real excited for
Let me just say, week 4, there's a lot of ranked matchups.
yes, ranked as of now. Anyone can lose.
Very true.
Anyone can lose. But our first matchup is number 7, Penn State at Illinois. We have Penn State ranked number 10. Who you got in this one?
Penn State. It's not that hard of a one to pick. Kansas beat the crap out of Illinois last week. Didn't look that good. I'm expecting a better Penn State team to beat the crap out of Illinois even more.
Yeah, I've got Penn State in this one. This is going to be a big game for me as far as judging Penn State going forward because they haven't really played anybody yet. I don't think Illinois is going to be incredible this year. I think they're probably like a 5-7 to 75 team, somewhere in that range. But Illinois does still have some players. They've got Brent Bielema, who is a solid coach. You know, if they come in at Illinois, if they go into Urbana-Champaign, which is where it's located, if you didn't know.
There you go. More you know.
If they go into Urbana-Champaign and they just blow the doors off of Illinois, I will be very impressed with that win. And because, okay, you know what? Here we go. We're going to interrupt this. I want to talk about this. So our top 25, for those of you who have not seen after the preseason, we put it on our Instagram.
We do. Follow us on Instagram at the College Town Podcast.
We have had some
We disagree a lot. We disagree a lot on our top
discrepancies. Two of the biggest ones are Penn State, and probably the biggest one is Tennessee.
Yep.
He keeps moving Tennessee up and up and up. I keep moving them down and down and down, which just keeps them in the same position. The reason that I am moving them down is because I have not been impressed with them in their games. They beat Austin Peay by 17 points. That's it. The best teams destroy the worst teams. If you are trying to prove to me that you are a top 10 team, you're going to dominate Austin Peay. And I just don't see it. I don't see it. Same thing with Penn State. I was impressed with their win over Delaware. They beat them like 73-7 or something like that. That's a very impressive win. I liked to see that. I want to see it against a better team, but playing well against teams that you were supposed to beat is important in my eyes. He likes the fact that they just keep winning.
Absolutely.
Which is great. You know.
I don't think you should punish a team that wins. The only reason why you should punish a team that wins is if a team that's below them beats a better team in front of them.
If the team that they played had a really good loss, that's when you should punish the team that wins.
No. What are you talking about? About this whole good loss, whatever. No. You should only punish a team, and they should go down the rankings after a win if a team above them loses to a team. Let me phrase this properly. For example, Texas beats Alabama, right?
Yes.
USC is like 6, right?
I think we had USC
right. 4, right? And
maybe 5.
So Texas wins, beats Alabama. Alabama obviously gets dropped out, and then another team gets dropped in, right? It takes a good win to leapfrog teams.
By a team below them.
Right. And that's the only reason why they should be punished for wins. If you're ranked and you continue to win, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason why you shouldn't continue to go up. You should at least be plateauing or going up. There's no reason for losing to be going down.
Well, Kentucky's 2-0.
Yes.
Oh, is that an impressive 2-0 or?
No, it is not an impressive 2-0.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what you voted for Kentucky.
I did.
In the preseason poll.
I did.
And now they have not gotten a vote in the 2 weeks since.
Correct.
They just keep winning though.
They do. Once again, I'm repeating back to what I'm saying. Unless a team below you has more impressive wins over you, it goes up.
Okay, so are they in the high 20s in your opinion then?
No, they're not ranked right now.
I'm saying like just in general, like.
Yeah, I have them. I have them just outside. I think they're a decent team right now. I mean, now I do have questions about how they won, but they still continue to win.
All right. Anyway, I got Penn State over Illinois.
Yeah, back to the pick'ems.
Yeah.
I got Penn State over Illinois as well.
All right. Next game, we got number 14 LSU, or number 12 in our poll, at Mississippi State. I've got LSU in this one. I think LSU looked pretty solid against Grambling. They looked solid. They looked sloppy, but solid in the first half against Florida State until Florida State just put it on them.
Yeah.
I think Mississippi State is a solid team. They're a good team. I don't think they're better than LSU.
Yep. I don't think Mississippi State's better than LSU.
Yeah.
I got LSU.
All right.
There's not much more to say.
Next, we got South Carolina at number 1 Georgia. Number 1 in both polls.
You skipped one.
Did I skip one? I did skip one. We're going to do that in a second.
Okay.
Next, we got number 15 Kansas State, or number 17 in our poll, at Missouri.
I don't know anything about Missouri to pick them. That's the issue. It's like, what is Missouri? I got Kansas State for the sole purpose. I just don't even know what Missouri is this year. I don't know anything about them.
Missouri was a little bit of a middling team last year
Mm-hmm.
that, depending on who you ask, some people are really high on, some people are not. Missouri is 2-0 right now, but they haven't really played super impressive teams. And so it just depends on personal preference at this point. Some people are very, very high on Missouri. Clearly, you know nothing about them. You're not that high on Missouri right now.
Nope, they're not really on my radar.
So I'm guessing you're picking Kansas State.
Yeah, if they beat Kansas State, definitely on my radar. I'll tell you that much. That'll be a great win if they beat Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, that description aside, I am also picking Kansas State. I'm high on Kansas State. I like them. I really like their coach. I really like Chris Kleiman.
Yeah.
very
Oh,
good.
he's a great coach.
Yeah.
Really like Chris
All right,
Kleiman.
now we've got South Carolina at Georgia. Who we got?
Go Dogs.
Yeah, I got Georgia in this one too.
I mean, is there much to say?
There's not a lot of
I mean, like, South Carolina
We'll
could
see.
be a top 25 team. They're one of those teams that, like,
yeah.
they got talent. They're good, but they're just not top of the line good like Georgia is.
Not yet. They put it together late last year. They looked real good down the stretch last year. They could do the same thing this year, but they got a little bit of a tough start with North Carolina week 1 and then Georgia week 3. That's tough. Also kind of stumbling out of the gate last week against Furman. So anyway, I've also got Georgia in that one. Next game, we've got Minnesota at number 20, North Carolina, number 16 in our polls.
Yep. I've got North Carolina in this one.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you sold them.
Yes.
I think it's a clear and obvious reason. And even though North Carolina stumbled with App State, I still believe in the team.
Yep. Yeah, you said it there. I'm with you. I sold Minnesota for a reason, and it's not because of Nathan Kaliak-Manis.
I don't think we're going to have a different pick this week between the two of us.
We'll see.
I think this just goes to show how poor week 3 is.
Yeah, probably. All right, we got Virginia Tech at Rutgers.
God, this one sucks. This one sucks on so many levels. They're both just bad. Both these programs are just bad this year. It's just who sucks more, and I think Virginia Tech sucks more than Rutgers at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just like one's going to be the bottom feeder in the ACC, the other one's probably going to be the bottom feeder in the Big Ten. I mean, like, Rutgers beat Northwestern, who is the only other bottom feeder in the Big Ten, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, you beat a program that was 1-11 last year and then had all the crap that they went through. I give me Rutgers, but not by a lot.
Yeah, I got Rutgers too.
I'm not surprised if this one goes either way, though.
I think Rutgers is a tough team. Greg Schiano is a tough coach.
Right.
Greg Schiano 2.0 there. Yeah, I think Rutgers is going to win. They'll probably win by, 2 possessions.
Really? You think it's going to be that much?
Yep.
I think this game could be 3 points either way.
All right, well, next we've got this game looked closer when I picked it.
Did it now?
It did look like it was going to be a more contested matchup. We got number 8 or number 9 in our poll, Washington at Michigan State.
Have you watched Michael Penix Jr. this year?
I've watched him play. He's very good.
Oh, man. That lefty can throw that ball.
I told you preseason it says he's going to be a top 5 quarterback taken in the draft.
Oh, he's looking like it.
Yeah.
He is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They are throwing the shit out of that ball. Just give me Washington by a mile.
You don't think Michigan State can rally behind
Rally behind what?
behind their interim?
As far as I know, they don't even have a starting lineup that for this week. Who's going to enter the portal? Who's not? Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? You don't even know how they're going to line up. They don't even know how they're going to line up. Right now, all they're trying to do is say, hey, guys, stay, don't go.
I've got Washington in this one. Yeah, next we've got number 11, 14 in our poll, Tennessee at Florida. I already know who you got.
Who do I got?
You got Tennessee.
Yeah.
You're riding high on Tennessee.
I like Tennessee.
You're a lot closer to that 11 ranking.
I am at 10.
Yeah, you have him at 10. I've got him ranked at 18.
Yeah. This guy. So they beat Florida. Will it show something to you? Or is it Florida sucks, so it doesn't mean much?
Florida does suck.
Who do you got?
Screw it, I'll pick Florida.
No. Who do you got?
No, I'm picking Florida.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll pick Florida. We got to have some difference. We can't just have the same picks.
I mean, it's such a horrible week, honestly.
I'm picking Florida.
I mean, okay, fair enough.
Billy Napier, he didn't care about Utah. He didn't care about McNeese State.
Right.
He was getting ready for Tennessee.
Right.
Billy Napier, he's going to trot 11 guys on the field every single time Tennessee goes to kick a field goal.
Or eight of them. It's the Utah game.
What he's gonna do is he's gonna make it look like there's 8 guys lined up, and then Tennessee's gonna get real cocky,
and then
3 guys are gonna pop out from behind other guys, and they're gonna whoa, and then they're gonna fumble a snap, and then Tennessee's gonna turn it over, and Florida's gonna run it in for a touchdown. So what's gonna happen? First field goal attempt, first kick for Tennessee. Put money on it. Go to DraftKings right now. Put money on it. Give me Florida. Next, we got the backyard brawl. Pittsburgh at West Virginia. Pittsburgh lost last week. They were in our top 25. They lost to Cincinnati.
Yeah. You know my views about West Virginia and how much I despise them.
That's true.
I will never pick this team. I don't care if they're ranked 1 in the nation. I will never pick this team. Give me Pittsburgh. This is a heart pick over a head pick. I don't care that Pittsburgh lost. Pittsburgh's going to put them in the dirt by 2 touchdowns this week. Why? Because I said so. That's how I feel.
Yeah. This is a head pick for me. I'm going with Pittsburgh.
Oh, so it's not even a heart pick. So my heart pick is...
Your heart's in the right spot.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I just don't think... I think West Virginia, they've been fighting, you know. They beat Duquesne by a pretty solid amount.
Well, they should stay down. They should stop fighting.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen. I think slowly they're just going to be beat up by the end of the year, and then they're eventually going to give up. And then Neil Brown's probably going to get fired before the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's my prediction.
There's a little take there. Is he on a hotter seat than Jimbo Fisher?
No, just because I think Tennessee's insane. Not Tennessee. Texas A&M is
insane
a little bit. You know? So
okay.
I think Jimbo's seat is hotter.
Fair enough.
But
Gotcha.
I mean, his is cold by comparison. It doesn't make it cold. You know,
Mm-hmm. Lukewarm.
Even though heat is relative.
Absolutely.
That's what you learn in science class. We've got BYU at Arkansas. That's a fun little Power 5 matchup that was not a Power 5 matchup a year ago.
Oh, it is. I forgot about that.
Big 12 versus
Forgot
SEC.
the Mormons are over there kicking in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the Mormons are going to get pounded. Give me KJ Jefferson in this offense against Arkansas.
There we go. I got BYU.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
I really like the way Keaton Slovis played last week. I like BYU's coach. I think he's a good coach.
There we go.
Keaton Slovis is a guy that he has all the tools. You just have to have someone help him put it together. And I think this might be the guy. The BYU's coach might be the guy. So I'm picking BYU in the upset, I believe, over Arkansas.
Yeah.
We didn't put lines in because
I definitely think that's an upset. That's fine.
Anyway, finally, we've got Fresno State at Arizona State.
Fresno State beat Purdue first week of the season.
Yeah.
I was happy to have that pick.
Not a great Purdue team.
Not a great Purdue team, but I also think Arizona State is not a great Arizona State team with Jalen Rashada as their quarterback.
But they do have Jalen Rashada. And they've got, I can't remember his name.
I wasn't very impressed by Jalen Rashada from what I saw. He didn't look amazing and he didn't look awful. I just think like he will become a good quarterback. But these freshman year, he's definitely not in the top echelon of arms out there right now. Give me Fresno State. I'm with you on this pick as well because I know you just bought them.
I did.
So I assume your pick is Fresno State as well. Give me the Mountain West champions of last year to beat off another Power 5 program.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, no, give me Fresno State to beat off Arizona State. That's what's going to happen.
See, I kind of knew your picks based off of who you're buying.
Yeah. Well, I feel very confident that Fresno State can beat off anyone that they play.
Oh, do you know?
Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely.
Those are our picks.
All right.
I picked Florida just because. Don't do me wrong, Billy.
Oh, if there's anything to go off the week 1 game, I'll watch it. It's going to be so bad for you. On how high I am on Tennessee. Is this just a spite pick? Do you just hope that Tennessee can fall and you can prove your point?
Yep.
Okay. I had my heart pick. You had your heart pick this week.
That's true.
There we go.
Except your heart pick was a little smarter than mine. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Bye.